What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Eric, and tonight for coffee time, we're gonna be building a Merfolk deck. So stick around. We're gonna build it and play it here on coffee time. If you want to get in on Discord, don't forget to hit the link in the description box. Jump over to the Discord. It is shared with our Albion content. But if you want to talk about Magic, there's plenty of Magic conversations going on in the Discord as well. But before we jump into Merfolk, as you guys can see, Merfolk got the most votes without even a deck list. Just talking about Merfolk, people seem to like it. I liked it as well. I like the idea of us jumping into those last chance decks. Even though last chance decks are normally bad, there's a reason the deck didn't do well throughout the seasons. And we do try to give those decks a last chance before they rotate out. So do expect some last chance decks coming up here in the near future. But before we actually jump onto that, I want to talk about a couple of these other decks that were brought up on the Reddit this week. Like the first one we're going to talk about is this Yarrick field deck. Now, I just want to give my thoughts on the Yarrick field deck before anything else here. I'll pull up the visual view so you guys can take a look at the deck. But all in all, like Yarrick's a really cool card, and the Death Touch, Lifelink, and then if a permanent entering the battlefield would cause a trigger, you're going to get an extra trigger. So if you trigger the trigger, you get the trigger, right? And it works really good with Field of the Dead, right? Where like every land now makes 2 zombies. But the real problem with that is we're stretching a lot to be able to get to this Yarrick and then Field of the Dead combo when Scapeshift is already a great deck, right? And that's just how I feel about the Yarrick field decks. There's a lot of people trying different variants of them. This one's by D-Tech. D-Tech's done a really good job at putting a variant of Yarrick field together. And I don't mind the deck at all. I just think that it's strictly worse than just normal Scapeshift. Being able to do things like play to fairy, being able to play your Scapeshift at instant speed so that you can get around, being able to get around board sweepers and things like that is great. One of the other good points of the deck as far as Scapeshift goes is it doesn't run a lot of creatures that are vital for kill spells. So your opponent's kind of left like, do I kill Elvish Rejuvenators and Arboreal Grazers just so that I can swing in with my creatures? And red deck will do that on more than a common occasion. They have to get past the Arboreal Grazer, which is funny. So they do have to spend cards on those. But I don't actually like the idea of running the Cavaliers of Thorns, even though Cavalier is another great way to go get a Field of the Dead and throw that on the battlefield. But Risen Reef has been a little bit weak, even though that the card is absolutely phenomenal. And for all of you that have had your Risen Reef go off, you're like, weak? What are you talking about? And I know, it can just go ham, right? Like Risen Reef decks can fill the board so fast, you can get so much mana, and things can get absolutely out of control. But I don't think that wins the game any more than just making 14 plus zombies, right? So in that aspect, I think the regular Scapeshift deck is just better than Yarrick. And I was even talking about the Teferi getting around board sweepers and things like that. This deck does run a copy of Nexus of Fate, which is for the same purpose, right? You can start making these zombies, then Nexus of Fate to just go ahead and get in another kill. You've got that little bit of a Tameo combo going on here so that you can dig through, you can get some cards back, stuff like that. We see Disfigure and Thought Erasure, which are good cards and everything. But as far as the deck idea of Yarrick, Field of the Dead decks, I just think that they're strictly worse Scapeshift decks, and like that's my opinion on the Yarrick decks. I think that they die to removal right? So, I mean, that's just kind of where I stand on it. I also, depending on how many Odonto Vanguards you're running into, I don't think this figure is where you want to be either. I think Cast Down's actually just a little bit more powerful. Um, that being said, the thing you really worry about with Cast Down is cards like Feather and cards like Lyra, and this deck does have Cavalier of Thorns, and you can get around that type of thing. But then again, you can always just Teferi, bounce it, and then swing with your zombies, right? So there's aspects to both sides. I just find that the Teferi variants with Scape Shift in them are just better. And but Yark's still a very interesting deck. So those of you out there wanting to play Yark Field, by all means, have fun with it, enjoy it. Just my advice would be, if you have the Bant version of the deck, play the Bant version. All right, next deck I want to talk about here. This one is a mono red Bag of Holding deck that has a lot of planeswalkers in it, and so we're running the Sarkin the Masterless combo. And one of the reasons for this deck is it's trying to be centered around Bag of Holding, right? Like where he's running, Glenhorn Buccaneer, Cavalier of Flame, Neheb, wanting to just discard as many cards as you can, and then eventually just pop Bag of Holding so that you can just discard a whole bunch of cards yet again to have a ridiculous amount of mana. And having all that mana is well and good, especially when you're trying to play cards like Sarkin and stuff like that. But Sarkin actually plays better first main phase than he does second main phase. Unless you're just wanting to make a dragon, right? But in those situations where you have a bunch of planeswalkers down, a lot of times you just want to be able to play a Sarkin the Masterless, and if you're doing that, you're just kind of playing out your hand anyway. But so I think this particular deck's a little bit split focused, as it's kind of on the Bag of Holding, on the discard aspect, but it's also on the Sarkin Planeswalkers aspect. Personally, I think the deck could be much, much stronger just going with the mono red Planeswalkers. I actually think the mono red Planeswalkers list is like a tier 2 list. You can take down a lot of tournaments, your local tournaments and things like that. You can take down the standard events and stuff with the deck. I've seen a lot of videos where people have done just that. And I think that the mono red Planeswalkers would be the better way to go with this list. But as far as like the Bag of Holding strategy altogether, a lot of people are trying to run the Nehebs, Glenhorn Buccaneers, Cavalier of Flame, that sort of thing. And I think that particular strategy, even if it could be built at its best, I think that it's still a lower tier game plan, meaning that the strategy is just a little bit slow. You're having to put a lot of work in for your draw engine. Therefore, you're wanting to run cards that are slightly worse so that you can have this slightly better gain in the end, when I think that just running the better cards in the first place would give you a better overall gain. So the Bag of Holding strategy for me is very low tier right now. Maybe we'll get some cards in the future that are really good cards, that the discard is their major downside, and we can circumnavigate that with Bag of Holding. But for right now, I think that if you're going to play a deck like this, just lean into the Planeswalker aspect of it and kind of forget the Bag of Holding, as I just think that game plan is just a turn or two too slow. So that's just my opinion on the Bag of Holding strategies. Next here is the Tezzeret Forge decks. Now I've seen a couple of these Tezzeret Forge decks. This one's by Sir Eccles, and one card I want to talk about in this particular deck really quick is Pattern Matcher. So this is a 4-mana 3/3 golem that says when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card with the same name as another card you control, reveal it and put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So you're playing a non-vanilla creature here that has a conditional replace replacement, conditional draw, if you will, right? So if you don't have another creature on the battlefield, you're just playing a not even a vanilla card, right? You're paying 4 mana for a 3/3 that's going to do nothing. So because you're so conditional about how like this how this card's good, um, I don't like it. I just don't like it. You would be better off just playing any other card that replaced itself, right? And for that, I automatically don't like trying to push into this deck. However, I do understand that if you can get your Tezzeret Master at the Bridge down, there's a really good chance that you get to play out your entire deck. The deck has Mystic Forge, which Mystic Forge is one of those cards that is like Experimental Frenzy. You can look at the top card of your library and you can play it as long as it's a colorless non-land card. So this deck's got a ton of ways to be able to like flip that card off the top of your library. So if you do get stuck with land cards on top of your library, you can use cards like Sky Scanner, which if that's a creature. If you've got Tezzeret down, you're going to be able to play Sky Scanner really cheap and then just draw that land off the top and then just trying to keep playing through. Um, no, you cannot search for another pattern matcher. It says when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card with the same name as another creature you control. So you can't even search for another pattern matcher, which is bad, right? So like it's conditional even to just replace itself, and that makes that card really bad. Okay, so anything else would fit in this deck better in my opinion. Um, Even if you just played a treasure map and paid 1 mana to like activate the treasure map, like that feels like that would be better than the 4 mana cost. Even though you could get this for free, I do get the aspect of if you get Tezzeret online, if you can protect Tezzeret, if Tezzeret lives, you get to just start doing this thing where you play a Golos, or you have your Mystic Forge on the battlefield. You see a land, you go, okay, well I'll play Golos and I'll go search up a land and shuffle my deck. Okay, and we don't have a land. I'm going to play Sky Scanner. I'm going to draw a card. I'm going to play another card out of my hand, and you just play out your entire deck. And for that, I think that this deck would actually it actually has a little bit of merit and could be very strong. I would, if I was going to go down this road, I would probably land somewhere where I could untap Still Overseer multiple times, whereas Pattern Matcher would probably become what's the little dude that at the end of your turn untaps a target artifact? Voltaic Servant. There's also the new key that could probably fit pretty well in this deck. I do like trying to get multiple activations out of Steel Overseer. If you're going to have this tester this Tezzeret Master turn, I think that you should like really lean into that instead of leaning into cards like Pattern Matcher. So just think about that when you guys are evaluating cards for your decks. That what's the floor on this? Like, how bad could this be for me? And is there a better option, right? Um, I I think that there's a lot of better options. I really, really do. So for that, I'm going to say just at least get rid of the pattern matcher, um, because when you don't have Tezzeret down, this is a really bad card, really bad card. Whereas something like Voltaic Servant untaps Still Overseer every turn. If you are going to play out a major portion of your deck, maybe the deck needs a little bit of blue in it or something, and go with Psy while he's still an option. I can't understand why there wouldn't be Psy in this deck. The deck does have a little bit of blue for Tezzeret. Saheeli's not in the deck. I think Saheeli would be a better spot here. So like there's just some other ways that I would go with this strategy. I do get the fact that the deck's probably really, really good Mystic Forge deck as far as being able to just churn cards off the top of your library. But for the most part, how many times have you ever seen a red deck with Frenzy with nothing on the battlefield, but they still just keep churning through, the top of their library, just because the the nature of the deck is it's very cheap and low to the ground. I don't think this 4 mana creature is going to help that strategy. Cards like Golos are not going to help that strategy, if you don't have some other way to pay for them, and Tezzeret's really your only other way. So, Sir Eccles, I know that like me and you have been at odds lately on, deck building and things like that. But I can't back some of the card decisions in this deck, and I just wanted to give you my honest opinion about them, considering we're not going to do the normal. Well, there is no normal coffee time anymore. We get on here, we talk about Magic, we talk about, you know decks and things, and I know I'm negative Nancy this week, but here's another one. This was another deck that got some votes. I who had the Nissa deck? Who had the Nissa deck? Oh, and thanks for Crewfix MTG for posting his lovely deck text, his GIF deck text. But anyway, yes, Rocker. All right, so this is Rocker's Nissa deck. All right, I was not very fond of this particular deck either. All right, so yes, we're running a Boreal Grazer. We've got Elvish Reclaimer, because we're planning on throwing cards in the graveyard. This is a brought back deck. We've got Incubation Druid, Fall of Thrawn, Paradise Druid, Evolution Sage. So we've got Evolution Sage, but the only real way to put counters on our creatures is we have Incubation Druid and then our Nissa, creatures, and it's only and it's only a three Nissa deck, right? So my comment that I left on Reddit about this deck was, I bet this deck wins a lot of games, right? Because there's a lot of games where you just go turn one of Boreal, play an extra land, turn two, play, any ramp spell, normally Land of War Elves into Paradise Druid seems to do this really well, right? And then turn three, play Nissa. Any deck that can produce a turn 3 Nissa can just win games. We know this. We know Nissa is a absolutely broken Magic card that is legal to play. Therefore, so it can proliferate Fall of Thrawns to activate Fall of Thrawn quicker. That seems great. But my point about this is we're basically making a bad Nissa deck, right? Like, we know that one of the best Nissa decks in the format right now is just the Nissa Dorks deck, right? Where you've got some people play Leyline in it, but it throws down a bunch of dorks, plays out Nissa very early, and then makes a ton of mana, plays Hydroid Caresses, things of that nature. Hydroid Cressi? We won't go down that road, but that is clearly a much better Nissa deck, and it has a good payoff for the ramp. Okay, so Robert just mentioned that here in chat. Robert said there's little to no payoff for the ramp with Nissa either, and you're right. There's not a lot going on to make us want to have all of this ramp from Nissa, and again, we're making a weaker Nissa deck, and I don't think that we should go down that road just because we want to make a subpar strategy like brought back. Just because we want to play with that, we break a good deck and then try to hope that this version will be better. Brought back is gimmicky at best. Okay, like I get it. There's the combo with Field of Lotus, but then after you have your Lotus Fields, in the deck, it makes you want to start running cards like Elvish Reclaimer, and then now that we're on this Boreal Grazer plan, trying to throw down multiple lands per turn. Now we're on wayward sword tooth strategies and things like that, and now we're way away from what a good Nissa deck looks like. And again, we're giving up location or deck space that would be used for either helping us get that turn 3 Nissa or helping us get a good payoff for that turn 3 Nissa. So, in my opinion, the best Nissa deck in the format right now is a version that is Simic and probably runs Hydroid Crescus as one of the big payoffs. The other big payoff is you get to use like yoink cards and things like that. I get what you're saying there. You just figured you would try something other than Simic Nexus. But rather than spend a lot of time going over how we could fix this deck or make this deck more powerful, I think at this point in the meta we would just be treading water, right? So what are our purposes for playing Magic in the last 2 months before rotation, right? You're either having fun, which you can do with this deck. If you just want to go have fun, you want to try some things. We're either having fun or you're trying to be serious, and you're trying to grind out that mythic. You're trying to do those sort of things. Like it's basically one of those two. And if you just want to have fun, then play this deck. Why try to fix it and make it competitive? If you're trying to be competitive, the meta's pretty solved, and there's a lot of good decks in it. You can take almost any of them and go be competitive. If you want to be super competitive, then you know which like there's like 4 decks you can play. So either go have fun or it's time to net deck and hit the grind. And I know some of you are like, he just said net deck, and bear with me, okay? Like, pick your purpose. Pick your purpose. I'm not trying to stifle brewing or anything else. Matter of fact, this is actually the time, and I was talking about this to the guys in Discord earlier. This is actually the time where I start brewing more than any other time of the season, because normally I've already done my competitive thing as the seasons keep going on, and now I start getting into the, hey, I want to play these last chance decks. I want to see what this card's full potential was, and I start doing that for fun. So, like, get ready for it. We're going to have some last chance decks. You guys will see Sunbird's Invocation. I'm sorry, I have to see it in its full glory before rotation. Like, before it rotates, when we have every card available to us, how good can we possibly make Sunbird's Invocation? Where did it ever stand in the format? And things like that. And that's where I'm going to be going here in the near future. We're still going to play any deck that pops up in the format that seems like it's going to be good, kind of like when we played Jeskai Hero. We're still going to do that, but for now, I want to see cards in their full glory. I want to see how good was it, and that's my aspect of fun. So if your aspect of fun is, hey, I want to try this brought back strategy, I want to see how good it is, and I want to know where it's at, so that when the next set comes out, I know the power level of these brought back decks. Then by all means, go try different strategies like this. But as far as spending a lot of time saying, hey, all right, so now if maybe we want 4 copies of brought back, where's the right number of Cavalier of Thorns? I don't think we should be there. I just don't think that we're in a spot right now in the format with rotation, just like 2 months away. And spoilers are going to be starting within like the next 3 weeks. You guys ready for that? Like, we're almost back into spoiler season, right? Like, that's going to be starting here really soon. So, yes, Sunbird's Invocation's like Cascade. It's a stupid 6 mana enchantment that no one should play, but if you get it, it all of a sudden goes off, and you can do some really silly things with it. 6 mana enchantment, red. Um, it's a weird card, but like Thousand Year Storm, not going to be the best tier one deck in the world. It has had its moments over the seasons, but all in all, Sunbird's Invocation is a pet card. And that's what it is. So if you want to play with your pet cards, that are going to be rotating out, now's definitely the time to do that. So that's going to be my aspect of fun over the next few weeks. So hope you guys do enjoy what we've got coming. But for tonight, we're going to play around with Merfolk with Unsummon. So we're going to be building Merfolk. I'm gonna ask everyone here in chat to help me out. We're gonna create a Merfolk deck. We're gonna pull cards for it. So if you've got a Merfolk that you want to throw in the deck, throw it in chat. I'll start pulling cards. We'll go through. We'll refine it. If it's bad, whatever, we'll play it. We'll come back. We'll talk about some of the cards. We'll pull some out. We'll play it some more. But you guys are definitely on me about you want some play time. So we can talk about decks. We can build decks, but you guys want to see some gameplay. So I'm not going to take that away from y'all. So that's what we're going to do. We're gonna start with some Merfolk. So I'm gonna type in Merfolk here. Of course, we're going to hit the green and the blue because we're definitely going to be in some Simic. Might as well grab land. So alright, so no point in typing in Merfolk, right? I know I'm going to want my full art forest. Let's say we want like 4, maybe 5 of those, and we can trim all of this later. But we'll go ahead and grab our breeding pools, our hinterland harbors, and at least 2 Temple of Mysteries. It's horrible to build your mana base beforehand, but I'm actually wanting to pick my lands here. Where's the one with Merfolk? There we go. Why don't we have a full art yet? So we've got what? 10, 20 lands? We got a 20 land deck here, right? All right, that's a starting point. All right, so I can kill the land thing, and then we can just go for some Merfolk. I can't even pronounce what I just typed. All right. Might you link your deck on the Discord to check out your Merfolk deck? That is absolutely. You're in Discord. All right. So if you guys are in Discord, I will jump over there, and we can talk a little bit. Kapala, Warden of Waves, seems interesting. What's up, Alva? Let's. Oh, come on. Are you there, Sir Rocker? Hello? I don't know if we have Rocker or not. Alright, well, if he chimes in, it could scare us all. Okay. Alright, so Kapala? Kapala's the first one I'm being told to grab here. Alright. So Kapala, Warden of Waves. Let's talk about this. Spells your opponent cast that target a Merfolk you control cost 2 more to cast. And abilities your opponent activate that target a Merfolk you control cost 2 more to activate. Or 2 generic. So that's not bad. I mean, Teferi has to pay a little bit more. Where do we think that fits? Is that definitely like where we want to be? Also, like, I guess before we get started, maybe we should talk about like the 2 different routes at which you can build Merfolk. And absolutely, Madness, post your deck list. I assume you're going to in. Hello, Rocker. Anyway, there's 2 ways you can go about building Merfolk. One of those is you can go creature heavy, or you can go spell heavy. I've never seen the spell heavy version be that good, but you can go creature heavy or you can go spell heavy. And what I'm actually talking about there is you're basically either going Deep Root Elite or you're going Deep Root Champion. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on Deep Root Champion. Whenever a Merfolk enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target Merfolk. So basically, one's a go tall strategy, the other's a go wide strategy. We haven't had a lot of luck with the go tall strategy because of cards like Cast Down, um, Cast Down, and other just basic removal cards. Also, you don't want to stack a whole bunch of counters on a card like Deep Root Champion because they end up with a Teferi on the battlefield and then they just bounce it. And that type of thing becomes a nightmare. So I'm going to recommend that we don't build around the Deep Root Champion, but maybe a Deep Root Champion Merfolk might be a last chance deck or something like that. So I don't know.
Like
Maybe we'll
honestly,
have to
with
play around with
me,
it.
I think that the the Deep Root Elite is mainly just a way for us to kind of benefit since we're just a tribal deck to begin with. So it's just a bigger benefit.
I think you're right. I think Merfolk or Deep Root Elite is an extremely powerful card. But when you start running Deep Root Elite, you start wanting other cards that synergize with it, and I guess we'll have to talk about that a little bit as well. Um, my big one is I'm a huge fan of Jungleborn Pioneer. What do you think about Jungleborn Pioneer, Rocker?
It's pretty good. It's because I know whenever you were looking at my version before, and I had like the 4 Deep Root Waters, you were like, we can just cut the 2 Deep Root Waters and then just replace them with Jungleborn Pioneers. And I have been playtesting with that since then, and it triggers twice on Deep Root Elite, which causes it to get like 2+1/+1 counters however you choose, which is very beneficial in the end.
Right, like you get your bodies on turn 3, where as with Deep Root Waters, you play an enchantment on turn 3 and pass. Like
Right, and that's for like Deeper Waters is either for when you know the opponent doesn't have anything to do against you and you can safely play it, or you're just so far ahead at that point that it doesn't really hurt you to play.
right. So again, I in my testing, I like Deep Root Waters. I just don't like going deep. Um, anyway, uh, your vote is two tricksters in the main. Oh, okay. So Skylar definitely wants some
I've gone like
tricksters.
4 Tricksters
Yeah,
in the main.
I was
So
thinking four tricksters in the main myself. Trickster seems great. Skydiver
also,
goes with
Deeper
Elite.
Waters is the non-creature Merfolk pooper outer that most decks don't really deal with unless they have pure enchantment hate.
Understood. Would you say that makes it a better turn 3 card? Or sorry, game 2, game 3 card?
It usually depends on the matchup. I usually just keep it in, and I just take out some of like the slower Merfolk. Like I don't think you would need all 4 Silvergill Adepts for certain matchups, like Control or something like that. I think you'd rather just sideboard in the extra counter spells or anti hand disruption.
Understood. Like negates and other things. Um, all right, so chat is parts of chat are still on the Deep Root Waters thing. So it might just be a pass turn, but it doubles up quickly. So when you play your Merfolk deck, Gary, I'm curious if like are you trying to go into a long game, or are you normally just trying to get across the finish line as fast as possible before they wipe your board? Um, like just
Like
curious.
usually I try to just figure out like, okay, what's the matchup? Do I can I go long game, or can I just end this as quickly as possible? And it's depending on the matchup.
Fair. And I think as far as the argument of Jungleborn Pioneer versus Deeproot Waters, I think Jungleborn is the more aggressive card, whereas Deeproot Waters is the long term plan, the go late So if you are trying to be aggressive, I think Jungleborn Pioneer is the way to go. If you're trying to be,
I just decided to go 50-50.
and which I'm okay with that as well. So you know what, we'll start with our testing there at 50-50. Um, so do I have Tempest Tempest Collar? Somebody mentioned Tempest Collar. I'll pull that over so I won't forget to mention it in just a moment. Where is
I have Tempest
Deep?
Caller in my sideboard.
All right, so we'll go with 2 of those. Probably have to pick up some cards here.
But
Um,
I usually just have her as like a 2 of against like aggro matchups or something like that.
all right, so what do you think about Mistcloak Heralds, River Sneaks, Silvergill Adepts? Like, what do you guys think about those 3 cards in particular, chat? Tempest for sideboard. Okay. Well, when we'll hit Tempest Collar when we in just a moment, and we'll talk about where it belongs. But I also think Tempest Collar is
I
a
think
sideboard card.
Adept is the necessary for of because you need card draw.
So you like Adept? See, actually, my wife, she doesn't like Silvergill Adept. She said she's paid 5 mana for it so many times that it just drives her insane. I personally think it's great, but that's just me.
I mean, like half the time, it's if you draw it and you don't have any other Merfolk in hand, yeah. And if anything, you can just play it, draw your card, and then just have it chump block something later on. And I mean, yeah, it's just gonna otherwise get blown up by Goblin Chain Whirler or just some other thing. But that's the thing you can afford to lose because once you get the card draw, pretty much all the usefulness out of it is gone. So
right. Merfolk Skydiver. What do you think about it?
never bothered playing it.
So I actually think this card's got a lot of merit. At first, I really didn't bother playing it, but you see like the mono white decks, and you see the the vampire decks, and they've all got this one little thing in common, and it's Sky Marcher Aspirant. This just little flyer that keeps finishing people off because you create these board stalls, and then this flyer just beats you to death. And I think Merfolk Skydiver is probably that flyer for this deck. If you don't have the flyer, which you don't necessarily have to run if you don't want to run it, then I think that it must be either River Sneak or Mistcloak Herald. But I think that you do need one. You need a card that can keep attacking through board stalls. So should we be on Merfolk Skydiver, River Sneak, or Mistcloak Herald?
I personally prefer the Herald because one, it's unblockable, and if you have a lead out and you just get so many counters on that Herald, they either A have to answer it or they just sit there with their thumb up their rear and they're just like, well, I'm just gonna keep taking these hits.
Well, River Sneak's unblockable as well, and it could potentially hit harder. Like so, I mean, if your argument's only that it's unblockable, so it has evasion, um, then we've also got River Sneak. So, Kamina
Yeah,
Speaker
the
and the
thing
other
is
one.
with River Sneak and Mystical Herald though is we have so much clogging up both the 2-drop. Like we have already so much stuff clogging up the 2-drop slot with our like the main creatures you really want in the deck.
I agree.
And
I agree 100% that the one converted mana cost is the other real big thing that makes those cards play like better to play. So I'm with
just
you on
because it gives
Mistcloak
you an
Herald.
earlier option.
Yes. Plus, starting to ping in at 1 on turn 2, like you play a creature on turn 1, feels great. So, um, yeah. All right. So let's look at putting some Mistcloak Heralds in the deck. All right. What else
I'd
we
probably put
got?
it as a 3 of.
A three of. All right. Well, we'll start peeling back on numbers here in just a moment. So we've got.
I mean, fair.
Yeah, I've got to pick up some cards anyway. Probably gonna. I see. All right. So what's your feeling on Kamina? Four of Kamina or three of Kamina? I don't want to actually buy this other Kamina, and I don't think we need four. But if chat's all about us needing four, then we'll go with four.
I mean, personally speaking, I'd rather have three just because we don't want to get stuck in a situation to where we have too many legendary rules in our hand.
Okay. Chat's also on Benefic Biomancer. Oh man, actually I should probably own this card.
Yeah, he's really good.
Oh my goodness, I don't have the rares. I'm not gonna be able to pick this up. But
Like the only problem I have
Benefic
with
Biomancer should
Benthic
probably be in this
Biomancer
deck.
is that at times, like say you want to pump him up, but you don't have any cards in hand, so the card you draw is going to be the card you're going to end up discarding. And if you discard, like say, I don't know, Trickster for a situation you need it.
Was it the last Trickster in your deck? Like, okay, all right. So that's actually a really good topic, and I hear a lot of people talk about that. And we used to have the same argument with like Liliana milling cards, right? Are you milling? Are you running a bunch of one ofs and two ofs in your deck that your deck won't operate if you don't have them? I'm just asking. Are you? And in this particular situation, no, not really. So that's a bad mentality to be on, where you don't want to just grab the card and throw it in your graveyard. It doesn't matter what it was. It's a card you didn't have, you hadn't seen anyway. Just throw it in the graveyard. Don't worry about it. Like don't get into that mentality of that next card on top of my library. Now, if you have some way to scry and know what that card is, then you might want to make the decision to not throw it away. But when it's information you don't have anyway, and you're not worried about decking yourself, then that card just all of a sudden changing location isn't going to affect you. Sometimes it'll be a land, occasionally it'll be the card you wish you would have top decked, but most of the time it's a very, very small part of your gameplay. Don't worry about those types of situations. Yes, we should probably have 4 copies of Biomancer, guys. I do like Biomancer, but I'm glad you brought that up, Rocker, because a lot of people do that. A lot of people really feel bad about, man, I don't want to throw something away, and I don't want to draw it and then just discard it. Well, it's just part of it.
I mean, at the time, the best way to do it is like if you have just excess land in your hand, you can just loot away land that you don't need, just because it's like, oh, I already have 5 lands. That's like most of what I need for the deck.
Okay, so in that situation, you're talking about a great ceiling, right? A creature that you can keep putting +1/+1 counters on. You can use it to filter away extra cards and stuff like that. I would never.
And if anything, it just eats removal.
Right. Like, it's got so many pluses to it. I would not worry about the small negative of sometimes I just have to dump the top card of my library in my graveyard. Sometimes it just says mill one, right? I would still play that. If it said draw a card, discard a card, or it said, unless you have 0 cards in hand, then mill one. Like, it's that. Would that just make us feel better? Oh, well, when I have 0 cards in hand, I just mill one. I mean, it's yeah. Gary is
and
posting
of course,
a whole
people are
deck
saying,
over here.
People are saying Kamina Speaker, definitely, especially since we're running Breeding Pool, because you go Breeding Pool turn 1, and you can shock yourself for 2 because you're just going to make a 2/2 for 1.
Okay, so if we go that route with Kamina Speaker, then we're definitely trying to be as aggressive as possible then, right? Like, if you're trying to be aggressive, then you probably need to lean into being aggressive, right? And that goes back to the argument of, Deep Root Waters versus Jungleborn Pioneer. We need to make a decision. We can make a separate decision for
Well, I
game
mean,
two and game three, but we need to
it's
have a
also it's
strategy
honestly
going into game one.
one of the best one drop answers we've got for Merfolk, because it's either we have a 1/1 that can potentially become bigger later, or we have just automatic 2/2 that if they try to go turn one on us something, we can half the time block it and
Oh,
just have a big safety blocker. And if they don't have anything, then after
what about
flare,
what about Mistcloak Herald? I mean,
second
that's
creature.
another one drop, and then we've got like there's a whole bunch of one drops that could get played. I mean, you've got people saying four Jade Bearers. We've got people saying, four Benethic Biomancers. We've got people saying four Mistcloak Heralds, and like if we run four of all of these, we're gonna have 16 one drops in the deck. Which I'm not saying that that might be the worst case scenario, but or that might not be the worst case scenario, but is that the way we want to go? And if so, then we need to make some other decisions further down the curve to help synergize with the initial game one game plan. So, looking at the deck as we're building it, what is our initial game plan? Like this goes straight back to what I was asking at the very beginning. Do we want to build a deck around? Um, do we want to build around you know, champion or elite? Do we like what is our initial game plan before we even start building? And then now that we're building on a creature heavy deck, now we've got another split on having to ask ourselves again. Now, do we want to be aggro, mid range? Like, where do we want to fit on that spectrum? And I think that's where like we need to make that decision, because if we do make that decision, I'm going to disagree with Gary Miller here in chat. He's talking about that these other cards actually help waters go off. Those cards may help waters go off, but waters itself hurts the overall game plan. Waters is a hey, we want to go slow. I want to get extra value out of every creature that I play. We want to be playing turn 4 and 5, playing as many creatures as possible. And with a deck that doesn't have a lot of draw, in order to play a bunch of things on turn 4 and turn 5, especially if you've got a bunch of 1 and 2 drops, that means you didn't play much on turn 1, 2, and 3. So they're different strategies.
Yeah, and the thing is, with Merfolk, a lot of the matchups depend on board state. And Merfolk's one of those decks that can be very flexible with its creatures and its strategy because of how affordable the mana curve is, and also just the flexibility of it at times. Like half the time, it's usually the way I see it as Deeper Waters. I have like the two of, just because I know I'm going to be running into uh, board wipes and sweepers. So Deeper Waters is that insurance policy of if I do get a Merfolk later on, I'm going to get at least another body or two with it, so that way I can at least rebuild after the fact.
Understood. And again, you're wanting you're wanting to live and rebuild after a board sweeper. Do we want to go?
Yeah.
Do we want to go the strategy of? Yeah, sorry, I was trying to choose my words. Do we want to go the
Oh,
strategy
I
of
get it.
trying to kill before the board sweeper? Like, I think that we have to make a decision for game one, and then whatever decision we make for game one, we've got alternate game plans in game two. So
Yeah, like Merfolk is one of those weird decks to where it's a creature tempo deck, kinda, at times, because of just the affordability of it. And if you're able to just draw into the right things, then you can easily just get ahead or get behind.
understood, and I don't disagree. Um, but I also I think that we're going to be going the more aggressive strategy here. Um, I will leave one Deep Root Waters in the main board, but only one. I'll put two more Deep Root Waters in the sideboard. If we come up against decks that actually have sweepers, then I will be more than happy to take a couple Jungleborn Pioneers out and replace those with Deep Root Waters, as we are going to plan to go into a later game versus those heavy aggressive or the heavy removal decks and things like that. But in game one, I
AKA
want to
Ritualista, Cry the Carnarium, and
all of that, all
see.
of the above, all of the above, absolutely.
Hashtag sweep my board.
There you go. That is a strategy, and I think that we should have a viable answer to that strategy. Whereas in game one, though, I want to make them have it. I want to make them have it. I want to put the pressure on them that if they didn't keep the hand, because they don't necessarily know what I'm playing, so if they didn't keep the hand that had the sweeper in it, I want to make them regret that. And then when they bring in their extra sweepers in game 2 and 3, I will bring in my Deep Root Waters to help counter that. But I don't want the slowness in my main board, or at least not an abundance of it.
Usually helps me is having at least one or two negate main board.
Very fair. I can back that, and we haven't actually gotten to adding spells to the deck yet, but we will momentarily. Tempest Collar is another one of those cards that I like, but I don't like an abundance of Tempest Collar in the deck. Kind of like Sleep showed up in some of these decks. Man, I'm just moving things all over the place.
I just see it as strictly sideboard.
What, Tempest Collar?
Yeah.
So you would just bring this in versus creature heavy decks, ground stall decks, things like that?
Like tokens, sometimes against mono red. Like if they're just really aggressive, like goblins, I would play this against goblins because they just get insanely
anything more aggressive
giant.
than you.
Pretty much.
I like that. All right. So that's a clear and defined plan for a deck that would be more aggressive than us, right?
Like I would just put two in, honestly.
And that's actually what I've thrown over here in the sideboard. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Kapala. Kapala, Warden of Waves. Does this even belong in the deck? Like I've rarely seen this card in these decks. I
personally don't like Kapala because it's the whole thing of like removal spells are so cheap now that half the time they can just tempo us out and just be like, cool, we'll just hang on to this and play it on turn 4 with like, oh cool, here's a say Tyrant Scorn or
right, here's
some other form of burn.
Right. And I can see that. I think Kapala is pretty decent against some of the Esper decks and things like that. I don't actually find
why
it.
Play Kapala when you can just sideboard Veil of Summer against Esper and just say, cool, now you can't target anything. Joke's on you.
There you go. So that I was actually going to bring up Veil of Summer in particular. So my thought would be that you would bring, and I'll have this full thought on Kapala so that we can discuss it a little bit. But so in a game where Kapala would be good, you're more than likely have an opponent that has most likely a bunch of black spells that they can target your creatures with and things like that. Possibly it's Teferi and that sort of thing. And if we look at our current meta, the decks that we see playing that are decks like Grixis, the decks like Esper, the decks like the different Sultai variants and things like that. So any of those decks that we would bring Kapala, Warden of Waves in for to be able to stop the targeted removal, they've actually switched their strategy and are now bringing in cards like Ritual of Soot and Board Sweepers, which means by the time we know to even bring Kapala in, they've shifted their strategy and now Kapala's not actually that good anymore. So with that in mind, I'm cutting Kapala from the deck completely. Sorry.
Yeah,
I know I know
I mean, Kapala's a
some of
trap
you are probably
for.
all about it, but yeah, I'm not on Kapala. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm surprised Madness ain't here in the Discord chat, just talking it up because he's the other Merfolk guy.
He is. Madness is a huge Merfolk. He probably just doesn't want to argue with me about every Merfolk in the. Um, I don't know. Like according to chat here, I think me and him have actually had an agreement on some of these Merfolk. Sir Eccles says also
I think
Little
it's the
Vivian
fact
is giving your
of
creature flash in this deck could be sweet for more card advantage. Actually, Little Vivian could be a thought just because of her down tick to get you another card. So that that might not be ruled out in a control scenario.
I've had the M19 Vivian in sideboard as a 2 of for the flyer slash artifact slash enchantment hate
Oh,
because she
you're talking
also
about
ends up
5 mana
fetching.
Vivian,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Understood. Um, so I'm not going to buy Benefic Biomancers. I'll leave the one in, and he should probably be in this deck. Also, Mistcloak Herald. I'm going to trim down. I'm not going to run that many Mistcloak Heralds. I actually think that Mistcloak Herald should probably just be Benefic Biomancer. I'm wrong about that though. We are going to
I mean,
go.
that's what I've kind of put it as for my deck.
So we are going to go the aggressive game plan with Kamina Speaker, right? Because breeding pool, Kamina Speaker, right? That sort of thing.
Kumena Speaker is just good all around, regardless of strategy,
1 mana 2/2.
because it's
Let's
just
do
an
it, right?
early game. Yeah, it's just a good early game body in a lot of situations.
Right. I have no argument with Kamina Speaker. How do you feel about Jade Bearer?
What was that?
Jade Bearer enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on another target Merfolk you control. I'm asking chat as well.
All right, so and this is also gonna go with the one where it's like it gets flying. Uh, the thing about those is that they're board state dependent. Whereas, and yes, we know Kumina Speaker is very board state dependent, but I mean, it's not like, oh no, I don't have a Merfolk. I'm gonna be weak forever. As long as you have an island, which that's literally what half the deck is at least, you're gonna get a 2/2. Whereas in the other ones are like, oh, I need a Merfolk, or oh, I need a Merfolk. Where it's just like Commander Speaker is like, I don't really care if I don't have a Merfolk.
Exactly. Kamina Speakers. You get to throw a creature. I like Kamina Speaker. The question was Jade Bearer though.
Personally, I'd rather just have Deep Root Elite because Deep Root Elite is just a better Jade Bearer.
Well, you're going to have Deep Root Elite anyway. Like we're settled on we're a Deep Root Elite deck. Like cards that we're not even going to argue about are we're running for our Merfolk Mistbinders and for Deep Root Elites.
If anything, I'd probably just have Jade Bearer as like a 2 of, just because it's like, yeah, it's good, but it's not like, oh, it needs like all the slots. Yeah. Because we don't want to clog up the 1-drop slot.
So we've got 6 green 1-drops and we've got 4 blue 1-drops. Silver Gill added for card draw.
Thinking about like we don't want to fill it up with too many 1-drops. Like Benthic and Kamina Speaker are like the for sure one, like 4 ofs, and then honestly, if anything, because the way mine is, like my Merfolk deck that I've been working on since the very beginning, because I championed that deck for a long time, even when it got stomped at like a game day. Thanks, Selesnya tokens for that.
So what do you think
anyway,
what do you think about Mistcaller? Some of you are reading this card right now going, whoa, 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 what? So
Mistcaller is very situation dependent, and depending on the meta,
what is
I
that
can see it.
situation? And what meta would you talk about?
it would probably be like, oh, Selesnya is going out of control with its tokens, which, I mean,
I
there's so
mean,
much
what about Escape
removal
Shift
and
creating
hate
40
for.
zombies? Is that not part of our
Yeah,
meta?
well, I mean, like Scape shit's about to die too, so I mean, it's not like.
Well, I mean, we're building this to run in our current meta, right? Would you put this at least in the sideboard?
Yeah. Um. I think honestly, if I was gonna play against Scape Shift, I'd just play Tempest Caller because it's like, okay, cool, you played all your dudes, now they're all tapped and they're gonna stay tapped. So have fun with that.
So they instant speed Scape Shift at the end of your turn with the fairy. Oh, it's non-token creatures would enter the battlefield. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I was looking at this
Yeah,
completely
see,
wrong.
that's
I was
also
thinking
where
it was token.
it's. I think Miss Color's like, oh, we can just answer Reanimator decks, which I mean,
Okay.
half of them are bad to begin with.
All
Because
right.
like,
So then this would be horrible. I was thinking it was token. My bad. Um. So I was here playing
yeah, like
devil's advocate on a
the
card that
one
I
card
read
you
wrong.
really need that for
Right.
is
Yeah.
like completely useless against.
So this is bad printing. It would have actually
It
got
could
some
hit
play if it
tokens,
said
I just pick
tokens.
it every
Yeah. Okay.
right.
So it would actually be good if it was the way I read it. All right. My
Mono
bad.
Blue
My
Temple might
bad.
actually be a deck if that was a thing.
Yeah. And it's a wizard. Jeez, it's a merfolk and a wizard. Okay. Well. All right. So scratch Mistcaller. That's junk. Unless Reanimator becomes a thing. So if Reanimator becomes a thing, whatever.
As long as the Reanimator spells cost like 4 or 5 mana, and there's just really cheap counter spells, I really don't think that can happen. Also, the fact that Unsummon exists, so
Fair. Like, yeah, that's another card I need to put in this deck really quick. Like, I don't think
oh
that
yeah,
I would run
Unsummon
this
like
without 4
guaranteed
copy.
4 of.
Yeah. Like, alright, to Merfolk here. Alright, so we've got our unsummons, we've got our Benefic Biomancers. I'm actually going to sub the Benefic Biomancers we don't have with Mistcloak Heralds for now. We've got Kamina Speaker,
Yeah, that's what I would
unsummoned.
do.
If I ended up with more Benefic Biomancers, I would run them over the Mistcloak Heralds, even though you don't have that
I
that
mean, that's what
invasion
I've
way of
done with
getting
my
in.
deck. So
Let's see here. I'm on the fence about Jade Bearer, like whether I want it at all.
like I've just cut it completely from my list.
Yeah, I actually don't really like it. And we still have 8 1-drops. We've got 4 3-drops. Okay, some Kamina is also 7. So we have 7 3-drops. I guess I could pull this up and look at it. So 7 3-drops, 16 2-drops, 12 1-drops, 8 1-drops because Unsummon's not necessarily a 1-drop. Alright, so that leaves us a little bit of room in the deck to actually to put some other cards in. Some maybe non-Merfolk cards, right? Negates, Spell Pierce. I actually like Spell Pierce over Negate in an aggressive deck like this, where I'm going to try to make everything happen in the first turn or two.
I usually just have negate, but that's mainly just because it's like, I mean, either way it's gonna be cheap, and they don't have a way to pay back for it usually.
Right. So my, I'm going to try to stay aggressive, and I'm going to go with 2 mainboard Spell Pierce, and then I'll put the negate side. Like it,
Yeah, I like Spell Pierce because with the meta, especially since like, there's so many just heavy spells, and like I said, there's a Reanimator that gets blown up by a 1-drop counter spell or a 1-drop bounce spell. Like, yeah.
So incubation incongruity, removal. Yeah, actually, we're very low on removal in this deck. We're trying to
I mean, that's what you get for
pace with
playing
tempo.
Merfolk. That's like the one sad thing about Merfolk is that there's not much removal. It's mainly just tempo usually.
Right. So incubation congruity could be a piece of removal. Um,
Yeah, I can kind of see it.
I'm sorry, I was just reading this enchantment over here I've never read. Aquatic Incursion, 4 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 blue merfolk.
It's a
Heck,
trap.
yeah, that's a trap. Target merfolk can't be blocked this turn for 4 mana. Alright, interesting.
I'm
Um,
surprised how many like Merfolk counts cards or such traps that have been printed in like the past standard sets.
I think it's got a lot to do with flooding the tribe so that people can take people can play different decks in the same tribe, right? We had it
It's
happen.
tribal limited.
Fair. I think they're trying to break the limits on the tribe, right? Where you've got Deeproot Champion, which is a whole strategy in and of itself, and now we've got Brownborn Cutthroat that could potentially actually go with the Deeproot Champion build and allow you to play this like Simic Flash style deck, which would potentially probably just be a worse Simic Flash. Let's be honest. Um, but you could play this like Simic Flash style deck and have this really go tall strategy, or you could have this Merfolk creature strategy where you can be really aggressive with a whole bunch of 1-drops, or we could go another strategy where we could be much slower and play more 3 and 4 drops, which is where Swift Warden would come in there, Sir Eccles. Sir Eccles mentioned a couple Swift Wardens. I don't think that I would put that in an aggressive game one strategy, right? And that goes back to what I was saying earlier. We had to make a decision earlier. Are we going to be aggressive in game one? And if we are going to be aggressive in game one, you know, then we have to stick with things that are going to benefit that strategy. Now we can bring in other
Also,
cards for game 2 and 3 to slow us
something
down if we
that
want.
is a thing for Swift Warden is that this is a double green card in a mostly blue deck that we're going to need a lot of blue for. And how many times do you usually? Because you really want to make sure you get the double blue for like the Merfolk tricksters and everything. And yeah, I think like cool, you get hexproof for one guy. Awesome. But which I mean, you can just run dive down and do that. So
Right. That actually reminds me, we need to do some land adjustments to be able to play Merfolk Trickster. I think you need what, 16, 18 for turn 2. So we'd have to cut down even more on the blue sources, which then would we have 13 for. We could
yeah, we just need more islands for the most part.
I think. So this gives us 13 blue, or sorry, 13 green, which means we could cast turn 1 green source most of the time, and then we have the majority. That'd give us 17 islands. So without adding an extra land to the deck, we're not going to be able to consistently hit a turn 2 Merfolk Trickster, which I'm actually okay with that. We're still going to hit it from time to time,
We don't
but
need it for exactly turn 2. We need it for like the turns to where they actually have things that we want to like use it on. Like say Thief of Sanity that they swing into us and we go, haha, not today, sir.
this is true. Would you go Essence Capture or just Scatter?
I honestly wouldn't pick either because I mean, if we're gonna run incubation, then we just have an answer for creatures that we
Are we running Incubation?
and
And would you rather allow the creature to hit the battlefield and get to enter the battlefield trigger, or would you rather counter it?
depends on the deck, because usually, like, most decks don't really. They're just like, okay, we just need a body, and half the time the effects either don't really hurt us that bad, or it's just like, cool, you play your thing, we're gonna just go wider or bigger than you or under you, and we'll just say good day.
Good day, sir. Good day. Um, do we have the wizards for Wizards Retort, or I don't think we have the pirates, do we? No, there's not enough pirate merfolk, are they? Could probably actually get away with some
Besides like that
wizards.
new one, but I mean,
Yeah, there's some wizard stuff, but honestly, it's not like enough to validate running the wizard stuff. Because I mean, all we have is Merfolk Trickster and I think the Silvergill Adept.
And
But
Benefic
even then,
Biomancer if I had more of those.
yeah,
and even then, it's just because, like I said, it's dependency for like a specific tribe
Right. Like there's a
that
bunch of
we don't
there's
have as much as
scouts
the
and
other ones.
shamans and yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what other sideboard cards are we looking at here of just 100% needing?
Veil of Summer for sure.
Oh yes. Actually, probably over here in the green. I'm gonna go with 3 Veil of Summer. I actually think the card's in a perfect spot in the format right now. So we've got some negate. I threw in 1 disdainful stroke. We've got 2 Tempest Collars and 2 Deeproot Waters in the sideboard. We've got four spots in the sideboard that we could put something else. We've got 3 spots left in the main board that we could put something. The main board currently has no removal. We've got some unsummons. We've got some Merfolk Tricksters to be able to tap things down, stuff like that. Aether Gust in some number, that's probably a legit sideboard card.
Yeah, I've put Aether Gust in my sideboard for I think it's like either a 2 or 3 of.
Yeah, I actually, the more I play with the card, the more I like it, especially in these tempo strategies. So we've got room for 1 more card in the side.
Do we have Grafdiggers?
We do now. That's a perfect last card. All right, so back to the main board. We've got basically 1 spot. Oh, somebody said Shaper's Sanctuary in the side. Just for like card draw and things like that. They start targeting us.
Oh yeah, that does sound like a yeah.
So the problem
Like
I've
I
had
said,
with
it's
Shaper's Sanctuary
Me trying
goes
to
with,
adjust.
ooh, how do we beat a Shifting Ceratops? You put a large green creature in front of it.
Yeah, aka Kamina Speaker.
Right, like you put a bunch of counters on Kamina Speaker and you just step in front of it. He ain't protected from green. So because we have a bunch of green creatures, I'm not so worried about Shifting Ceratops. Whereas a lot of the other strategies they don't have a lot of green creatures. So, all right. So the Shaper's Sanctuary is a lot for me. The same way I mentioned Kamina earlier. When we actually come up against those decks that have a lot of targeted removal, normally decks that have like black in them, not specifically. I know some people are going to be like, well, I got a bunch of white removal. Well, yes, but normally when we're coming up against good decks, they've got a lot of.
Actually, I think you were talking about the Copala.
I was. Did I say Kamina? Did I meant
Yeah.
Kapala. My bad. I meant Kapala.
Why are you talking about the good Merfolk when
Right,
we're supposed
like-
to be talking about the bad one?
Kamina is the whole point of building the deck, right? Like just because you want to play Kamina. But yeah, Kapala. It's the same argument I had with Kapala. Like when we actually shift to bring in protection against it, they've actually just brought in a bunch of board wipes and are no longer targeting us anyway. So
Yeah, Copala, aka the worst Kira Glass Spinner.
fair enough. So we've got a little bit of room for you. Basically utility. I don't think there's a lot of other creatures that I really want to pack into this deck. So I'm looking for
I mean, we
utility.
have all the best creatures in the deck. In my honest opinion, I think like we have the best of the best creatures for the tribe that can fit with this strategy.
All right, so let's stick to our game one strategy, considering we're trying to find 3 cards for the main board. And our game one strategy is to be as aggressive as possible. So anything in this last spot would need to be aggressive and not very situational. You know what I mean? Like we don't want to have something that's pinpointed as a hoser against a certain deck. It could be River Sneak. If we wanted to just
Do
have
we
another
want
creature.
dive down? Just so that way they can't really slow us down when it comes to, oh, we're just going to kill a creature. And we go, no, you don't.
Possibly dive down would fit. I think Little Vivian, even though we are. So let's read Vivian here. The real question is like, in that, what do we want for that utility? Do we want a piece of removal? Do we want a virtual counter spell like dive down? Or do we want something else that would help us be aggressive? Possibly Hadana's Climb. I think Madness mentioned Hadana's Climb earlier. If we want
Yeah, I saw
draw,
him mention it.
go ahead.
What about the Casmina enchantment that just turns something into a 1/1 for like a blue and a colorless?
Casmina enchantment. All right, I'm gonna grab a Vivian here and throw over here in the sideboard or in the main deck so I can come back to it. Casmina. Casmina's transmutation. Enchant creature loses all abilities and has base power and toughness 1/1. So it's turn to frog. Oh, and it's a big picture of a frog, so that makes sense, right?
It's the Eternal Frog.
An eternal frog. Hop away now, little eternal. Go eat some flies. Aw. All right. Stop putting in non-merfolk. You guys actually think that Casmina's transmutation would be the right way to go? I mean, is that what we're?
It's hard to have removal for green. Actually, wait a minute. What about Titanic Brawl?
What about?
Well, I mean, because I don't know if we want to put fight spells in the deck or if we want to put like just straight up removal.
All right. So we want either draw. We want something. We want something that's either draw, removal, or something else aggressive, right? So it needs to either fit one or more of those. Honestly, incubation incongruity seems to be the spot because it could technically be draw for 1 mana. It could be removal for.
Yeah, it's the more flexible of any of them, honestly. I'm actually
Herald's Boon.
Pulling up my
That's a
list
combat
right now.
trick. River Herald's Boon's not a bad combat trick. I'm not 100% opposed to it. I'm also not opposed to the Vivian idea of trying to play at instant speed either. Boon could work. You like Climb though. I'm also on Climb. I think that I think a copy or two of Hadana's Climb in the deck could actually be very good. Song of Freylease. Albatross mentioned Song of Freylease. I actually like Song of Freylease in Merfolk out of all decks. Like out of everything I've tried Song of Freylease in, it seems to work best in Merfolk. So I actually like that. But that's on the aggressive game plan. Like you're wanting to keep 7 cards and you're wanting to slam these, like you want to just dump your hand. So I actually think Vivian would be a better spot than Grafdigger's Cage in the sideboard here. I'm going to get rid of Grafdigger's Cage. I'm not that worried about that one particular deck that doesn't do anything till turn 5.
Well, I mean, we also have like Arclight and whatever.
Arclight. What?
The Phoenix.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Arclight Phoenix deck. Like worrying about it a little bit. True. We could be worried about it. I think we beat the Dracusef deck, which I actually see more of the Dracusef deck than I do the Arclight Phoenix. But I think Unsummon just beats the Dracusef deck. Or Spell
Okay,
Pierce.
so I'm actually looking at my arena list right now, and I've got 3 Veil of Summer, 3 Aether Gust, 2 Negate, 2 Naturalize, 2 Tempest Caller, 2 Vivian, and then an Immortal Sun for if we really want to hose out the Planeswalker decks if we get
How do you
that
plan
far.
on getting into 6
But
mana though?
yeah, well, like I said, this is just me working on it as I go.
Fair, fair.
Which I mean,
I
honestly, this
actually
just
like
gets
Naturalize.
replaced with like, yeah, Naturalize is good because if whenever we do lose like something like Vivian Reed, which I've always championed. Trying to think. Oh yeah, Crushing Canopy, because that was like that used to be where Vivian Reed was, and then it's like, but it's more expensive, and then I'm like, well, it does get us creatures, so I mean,
Actually, I kind of like this. I like the Deep Root Waters in the sideboard. I think that's where that card fits. I know some of you people are. You people, you all. I know that some people are just all about Deep Root Waters. Like I am not amongst that crowd. I am not amongst Deep Root Waters. I'm 100% on the Jungleborn Pioneer, just because I hate top decking a Deep Root Waters. Like when I've got nothing going on, I need that next card to do
I
something,
mean,
and
like
I
that's
hate
why
drawing
I've
a next card that does
yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of glad I did the whole 50-50 thing with in between the two cards, because it's like I at least have something of both just in case, and if I don't need it, I could just loot it away with Benthic and then just not worry about it.
That's gonna make me spell this out. All right, so return to nature. Okay. So somebody just mentioned there's a better naturalize, and they're right. Return to nature.
Yeah, because it basically has hose a card in graveyard, which also acts as the whole Grafdigger's Cage spot.
So yeah, all about that. Like naturalize plus some. Thank you. Um, well, Deep Root Waters hates top decking me. Well, you're probably right there, Madness. Yeah, Return to nature. I'm 100% on that. Thank you for pointing that out, chat. Just 100% better. It's the same thing, only more text on it.
I think Manus is just being salty now.
Yeah, he is. He's being salty. And here I am
Love you, Madness.
trying to manipulate Hadana's Climb into this deck because I believe it belongs, and Madness is just wanting to be salty on me over there. Um, all right.
The funny thing with me is, so about my deck, instead of having, I think my land count is at, trying to think, 14. I think I'm at 22 lands.
You're at 22. I think I'm a little bit
Yeah.
lower here. We've got 10. Yeah, I'm actually at 20, which is probably wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably wrong.
You wanna like, if you're running two color, you definitely want to stay above 20 for sure.
So with that in mind, how many Temples of Mystery would you run? Remember, we are aggressive, and the more we put in, the less likely we're to be aggressive.
Honestly, I'll just save Temple, since we already have Hinterland Harbor, and since this deck is pretty much just gonna go to crap anyways once the rotation hits. Because I mean, half the reason why we have these temples in the first place is to fill in for the Dominaria dual lands that are going to rotate out anyways. So
fair enough. I am going to up to 21 lands. And then that's going to leave room for. I guess we're not doing 2 Hadana's Climb because I'm not going to buy another Hadana's Climb right now. But I will
I've
put a
always wanted to
Hadana's
see
Climb
how
in.
Adaman's Spine would work in the deck.
I actually think it worked pretty good. So, you guys about ready to play?
Because I
I'll
haven't
throw
played
in
with
this
it
Song of
yet.
Freyleys as
Oh
well.
yeah, I'm ready.
I need another deep root lead. All right, so I've got to hit done on this for now. I've got a plan, though, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a plan. So we're going to hit done. Okay.
I'll try not to backseat too hard.
You're good. I just need to buy 1 pack to get a wild rare card. So there we go. I'm trying to save my silver for the next set.
I finally got the Singleton stuff done. God, Singleton is so degenerate for standard.
Singleton? I can't get behind Brawl or Singleton. I know.
I caved in and built Esper, so
Hanged Executioner. All right. You built Esper in Singleton or what?
yeah, I built Singleton Esper and just made people cry with hating all their cards out. So
The plan was ruined when we didn't play Waters with Kamina. We want Kamina to be the top of our curve, Gary. We made a decision early that we were not going to be that turn 5, turn 6 deck.
So I'm looking at my list right now, and I'm being so hypocritical because I have a 4 of Kamina in my list. So
like I get it. Like some of you are like, hey, you're not playing Deep Root Waters. This is a crappy deck. I'm going to disagree. Like I'm not going to disagree that this is a crappy deck. I'm going to disagree that it's
not
crappy
a bad deck.
because of Deep Root
It
Waters.
just-
Deep Root Waters
It's
is
bad because
slow.
it loses to most of the meta.
Deep Root Waters is just a slow card, though. Like it, I think that we're just going to get more value. All right, so first off, I just want to let everyone know that we're not going to be playing in rank tonight. Some of you are going to get mad about it, but I'm not playing Merfolk at 268. All right, like we're Mythic number 268 right now, and I'm not playing Merfolk there.
even I'm not that crazy. I mean,
Right.
come on.
So I hope
And I
you
love
all
the
understand. I hope you all understand that I'm not trying to go down that road. So yeah.
I'd rather just like get my Timur Super Friends build and just be like, all right, we'll champion this thing for as long as we can, and because at least we know we're not losing all the good cards in rotation. So
You actually want to know what we've went from the top 1,000 down to 268 with? Best of 1. Mono white aggro.
of course it would be best of 1.
Mono white aggro, just wrecking. Cruise through the last platinum with it. Just piddling around and just kept winning, and then kept winning.
You just gotta throw those white weenies out there.
Right? Yeah, yep. Anyway, so we're gonna play some just normal games here. We are gonna go traditional play because we did build a sideboard. All right.
I usually play traditional play. Like hardly ever do I think the only time I ever do best of 1 is I just want to test the main deck and see how it goes. And if I feel somewhat comfortable with it, then I'll be like, all right, we'll throw this in traditional and just put in the sideboard as well. Because like half the time it's either you like the main deck as it is, or it's like, oh, I don't like it, I gotta go change it.
So that's actually what I'm going to be looking for here in our first match. Is I just want to see if the game 1 strategy works the way I want it to. Oh my goodness, we're playing against Mephisto, Diablo's brother, right here. I had a conversation with somebody about the Wanderer not being Diablo. Well, I can't keep this hand. We got a Song of Freyleys, a Kamina, and a Spell Pierce. don't think we can keep this. It's not part of our
Could have sworn.
aggressive game
I could have
plan.
sworn I was live. I don't know. Let me double check for a sec. Because like the chat and the. All right, let's see if we can get this to figure it out. I'm probably have to reload it or something.
That's cool. I'm just going to pay 2 life. I had a mulligan. I'm going to pay 2 life and get down a turn 1 2/2, which
Oh
hey,
yeah, that's like
we did it. We've done it, y'all. We've got a turn 1 2/2. We are an aggressive deck. And now we could potentially.
Hashtag Merfolk goals.
All right. Well, I'm actually doing this. It may be a horrible game plan, but I'm going to try.
We're doing Merfolk the way we want it.
Yeah. Merfolk the way it was meant to be. Saudi Erasure, what are you taking? That's what I thought. He took our he took our other mist binder.
I mean, he just realized he's like, I gotta get rid of one of those lords because if he throws out 2, I'm pretty much just donezo.
Right. I would love to hit a land right here. Not a land, but you know what? Whatever. Hit him for 5 on turn 3. That's. And then we're looking at another 8 on turn 4.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like I said, like I've told people this before, like it's not a great deck, but if you just let it go, it'll hit you out of nowhere.
I'm gonna play the Silver Gill at it. I mean, he's got to have like Ritual of Set right
scare
now.
them with we might as well just scare them with Trickster, or if anything, they play blow them out that Spell Pierce. Yeah.
You're about a minute behind there, sir.
Yeah, like I said, I know so, the YouTube is being a little slow comparative to the chat.
Right, and that happens. Well, that happened very quick, and I just want to point out that Deeproot Waters in that hand would have been real bad. It would have been very bad with that strategy, like trying to go later into that game. But Jungleborn Pioneer wouldn't have hurt at all.
Wow. Opponent just like scooped it up. Like,
of course he does. Of course he does. Now, however, I'm interested in Deeproot Waters because I think that now he's going to have board sweepers and things of that nature. I'm also interested in Veil of Summer. And since I didn't see a lot of I didn't see a lot of creatures on his side, so I'm thinking that Unsummon's a little bit weaker. So I'm going to bring in.
Well, I mean, you can technically use Unsummon on your own stuff if he does target it, and then it's just like, cool, we're going to just get it back.
Right, but wouldn't it be better to just. If he's going to target my stuff, he's a blue-black deck. If he's going to target my stuff, he's probably going to use a blue or black spell to just counter it and draw a card.
It's basically just another copy of Veil of Summer in that instance.
Right, so I would rather just actually have Veil of Summer. But yeah. And then I'm going to bring in, I'm actually going to leave in the Spell Piercer. I think that we're going to keep him on this. I don't think I need Hadana's Climb, and I'll bring in another negate for that. But I'm not going to go all in on the negates. I am going to try to stay fairly aggressive here. I kind of want to
cut like a Song of Freya release just for like a Song of Freya release or a Hadana's Climb, and then just add an extra negate.
I did cut the Hadana's Climb for a negate there. For an additional. Again, you're a little behind, but it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, sorry.
little Vivian over Climb. I tell you what, if we go to game 3, I'll cut the Song of Release for little Vivian because I didn't think about her, but that's not a bad idea at all. I'm going to keep this hand. The hand's a little bit slower than what we had last time. But I still think it's keepable. Remember, we did bring in the deep root waters, so we want to apply a threat, make him deal with that threat, apply another threat, make him deal with that, and so on and so forth. So he does have
I feel
to
like at
some
this point
choices
I'm
here.
just listening to like an audio cast, and it's like the video playback is just so I'm just gonna be like, might as well just like how certain people do podcasts where it's like just say everything that's going on, and it's just like, but I ain't gonna do that to you. So.
He's not erasing me right now, and he took my deep root elite. Um, Song feels bad in a deck that's trying to go aggro. You're probably right, Sir Eccles, and I should probably take Song out.
Yeah, Song. I don't like Song in the deck, personally speaking, because it's kind of like the deep root problem, except when you don't have creatures, it's just twice as.
Well, we have all the lands we could possibly want. He did take out
Yeah,
our
the deck
deeper
will do it to
elite,
you.
and we hit a Jungleborn Pioneer. We were going to have a serious threat there.
Yeah, like they will either hate on Merfolk, Mistbinder, or Deeper Delete half the time, because those are like the quintessential cards of the deck for the most part. It was like uh, Deeper Delete, Kumina, and then Merfolk Mistbinder. Those are like the three cards to where it's like, make sure you have those cards. In all honesty,
I agree. I think he's setting up for a Ritual of Soot on us here, and I think we're at the point where I can never tap below negate again. But if he doesn't
I
have
mean, if
he's
he
got
is
one turn to
playing
have.
for
Yeah,
Ritual,
there's the cry.
then we just don't need to invest in the board.
Yeah, there's cry. So now I want to rebuild the board as quickly as possible after a cry of the Carnarium.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Jungleborn Pioneer here, and then leave up Veil of Summer.
Gosh,
So
even watching it back on the playback makes me sad.
yeah, it hurts to get any type of sweeper. He had one turn though. The next turn, I was going to be able to go Merfolk Mistbinder again, and then we'd have outgrown Cry of the Carnarium. Um, and we would also been able to
Man, and we
hold
drew the
negate up.
hinterland too.
Yeah, yeah, we
Like the
we had
hinterland
everything.
is good. I mean, at
I'm
least we have
gonna
Veil
let this.
mana, so
Yeah, I'm gonna let this happen. Like I could waste. I could just blow my Veil of Summer here to draw a card or cycle it if you will, but I don't think that's the right option when we're about to be able to hit him fairly hard. And we've got another land, so we can actually hold up Veil of Summer and negate, and we can play Merfolk Mistbinder. So
oh yeah, it's just you'd rather just go for face, especially against control, because not other decks can you really afford to do that.
wow. All right, so I am going to play the Mistbinder here because it's 2 more points of damage this turn. But I'm hoping that we do get another Merfolk to make Silvergill Adept better. Also,
Well,
still
if
on.
he does have any sweepers or anything, because you want to play Mistbinder, because at least you're going to have negate mana up.
Oh yeah,
So
like I said, I don't think we can tap below negate for the rest of the game.
no, I don't think we should ever tap below negate for the rest of the game if they're going to be just sweepers ahoy.
So as of right now, we technically have enough on the battlefield to be aggressive, like to flat out kill the opponent. I will go for the Veil of Summer here to draw the card, make all my things hexproof. Like so, we get to
See,
go ahead.
I don't think I ever utilized Veil of Summer at times as like just let's just draw a card, because it's like it's mainly just that's its main purpose is just protect your stuff, and then there.
All right. Well, he forced our hand on the negate. which hurts.
Hey, at least we get to live, right?
I think so. I mean, we get to swing at him as well. Although I could have
Yeah,
potentially
I was like,
played.
I'd rather be able to swing in and just stay as far ahead against control as possible.
I will play the song. You're probably right, Sir Eccles. Song of Freylease doesn't need to be in this deck. We don't have the draw nor the 1 mana creatures for Song of
As
Freylease to
much
be good.
as Madness will play sing the songs, the praises of the songs of release, I still don't like the card to this day, honestly.
It's an interesting card, but you're right. I'm not a huge fan of it either. Oh my
Like
goodness.
Selesnya will work, but like this deck, it probably won't.
Now how do I get around this? All right, so let's go Silvergill Adept. We're going to reveal Benefig Biomancer. Draw a card. Play Benefig Biomancer.
Oof. Oof. I
Put
just saw that. Ow.
put a counter on. Discard the land we drew.
Yeah, of
And
course. I mean, it's only a 4/4, right?
it's only a 4/4. It's only a 4/4.
It's not like he can play the spell again and make it an 8/8 or anything.
No. He would never do that. Madness said he's a little bit.
Surely
He's
Demir
he's
can't be that dastardly.
he's lukewarm on Song. He only likes it in a couple select decks. Brandon Hall says he
What
runs
was
a
it
couple in
like?
his
What,
build.
1 or 2 seasons ago, Madness? You were like all like Song of Release, woot woot.
I was kind of all about the Song of Release a couple seasons back. Oh goodness,
I mean,
what's happening?
like,
God
I
Eternal
thought it was
Kefnet.
like it would be good, but it was just for me the way that I ran it as like aggressive. It was for me. Song was good in a mid range build or a go wide build. Which yeah, it goes wide, but you need to get a little aggressive.
Now we're really missing our mystical Heralds. I think I need to be growing above Cry of the Carnarium here on most things.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Trickster. Come on, Trickster.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we just have to pass. So if I swing, he eats 2 things, and we get in for 6 damage.
Yeah, that's the sad part about that board state. It's just, I mean, if we had unsummon, we could just unsummon the token, and that'd be the only thing we have to deal with is Kefnet.
Right. I think, yep, we're in trouble.
So
here.
funny thing too about Pioneer and Dive Down or the Deep Root Waters. Usually, what I like to do is if I know I'm going up against an opponent with like just really heavy single target removal, I'll put the counters on the hexproof tokens.
Well, it looks like our opponent's actually got a lot more creatures than I expected. Cavalier of Gales, he just played. He's got God Eternal Kefnet. Yeah,
he's playing. Yeah, he's playing like the really fire slash just control heavy to where it's like, all right, I'm gonna get my big dudes out that can't be answered.
right. So like, yeah, heavy on early game interaction, and then plays bigger creatures than you do. It's not a horrible strategy.
Nah, it's just like basic control stuff. Usually, like old school control.
I could scoop here, but I'm not going to. Not yet. I'll make him just beat us. There's there's some potential that we could
Besides,
actually
we can
draw some
always
stuff.
draw. Yeah, we can always draw Merfolk Trickster, shut down one of their flyers, and then kill it without having it get the recursion effect that it gets usually.
True. I mean, we've got Summit Halts, but he's double casting Legions and on me right now. So he's about to.
I
Yeah.
I actually hate Legion's End. That card is so like I don't know
And
why.
he
I know
casts
why
Ritual
people
of
run
Soot.
it, but honestly, it's just that's the scoop moment.
Yep. Yep. I actually scooped before he got the Ritual of Soot out, but whatever. So I wasn't actually expecting him to have that many big creatures. Um, now that I know he has them, Unsummon looks much better. I,
Yeah.
I
I
will.
was like unsummon, unsummon, and I was like, wait a minute,
We
we
took it out.
sideboarded them out.
Yeah, yeah, that's my bad. Um,
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I understand that. If anything, I'd probably say cut song for sure
oh,
because
Song's already
that isn't
gone.
doing
All right,
anything
so
for.
I get
Yeah,
Song out of here. I'm
I
actually going to
don't
cut one
think.
Deep Root Waters on the play.
Yeah,
I don't think it's an
yeah, I
aggressive
think
card.
deep root water. Yeah, honestly, I kind of want to cut. Um, I, I want to cut a adept
You cut an Adept.
because yeah, yeah, for an unsummon. Because I mean, if he's just gonna sweep us half the time, and adept ain't gonna do much besides just draw us a card. And I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, just cut another deep root waters if we have to.
So in the end, I went with two Deep Root Waters to like the split with the Jungleborn Pioneer. Um,
Yeah, pretty much.
all right, so this is going to be a questionable hand, but I'm going to keep it.
I mean, that's what we have London Mulligan for, right?
Uh, well, fair, but this hand's also not bad. So I'm going to keep it. Like, it's aggressive, and that's exactly what I'm wanting is an aggressive hand. So and if we hit something like a if we hit something like Miss Misco or Miscaller, what's the Lord? So many missed. Wow. Come in a speaker for days. This feels bad, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, we're just loading so much up onto the board, and I'm not going to be able to stop this Cry of the Carnarium, and he's just going to beat me for it. Like, I feel that that's what's going to happen, but if we happen to hit the Mist Collar, then we're gonna go ham. But I think we're about to see. Nope, that's a Narset. Okay. I assume that means he doesn't have it.
Oh, I hath returned.
Exile target creature.
So far, so good.
And all other creatures that player controls with the same name as that creature. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Legion's End is a dumb card, and I don't like it.
So I am going to kill Narset here, and then we'll hit him for.
Actually, do we want to?
We're gonna have to unsummon.
Keep the unsummon for if
Yeah,
he tries to
we have
target
to.
one of our dudes.
We have to. Absolutely have
Two
to.
for one them, basically.
Right, we can't allow him to 3-for-1 us. So yeah, like that's our only choice is for him to go for the Legion's End, and then us get away with an unsummon on it.
And we kill an Narset, so.
Right. I was hoping we would have another blue source, so we could also play this Merfolk Trickster.
No, we can't. I don't think we can play Trickster because we only have two sources of
Exactly. So I was really hoping we'd end up with another one, but I'm going to leave Trickster up here. We're currently lethal, so that's a thing. We've also got a Merfolk Trickster in our hand, so that if he only kills a single creature.
I mean, yeah, like this deck can just get lethal out of nowhere. So I mean,
All right, so he's gonna mill us. He gains some life.
hit him with that wet and soggy RKO.
He did hit us with a God, enter the God Eternals.
And that's just gonna end up getting trickstered, and then we just hit him for lethal. So
Well, we're not lethal. He gains 4 life there. So
oh yeah,
yeah, so he
there's
gained the
that.
4 life, and we take him back down to 3, vomit the rest of our
I mean,
hand
if
onto the
anything,
battlefield,
yeah,
and then we just swing
yeah.
out next turn. So he's got to put up quite a few blockers here, or he needs to Ritual of Soot, which I don't think he
I
has the
mean,
means to sweep
usually
the
we
board yet.
have, yeah. I'd just keep the Herald in hand just in case he sweeps. Or neat.
Wow. Okay. I'm swinging anyway. He can eat 1. He'll go to 2.
The man can only eat so much before it gets full.
Right. Well, we do get to keep adding to the board here. Again,
Plus, we basically have lethal dependent on blocker, like no matter what.
well, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but we actually end up top decking a Jungleborn Pioneer.
Oh.
So now he's forced to sweep the board. And again, Jungleborn Pioneer, if it would have been Deeproot Waters, would have been much worse in that given situation. Now he could sweep the board here,
Yeah.
and at which point we would have kind of wished we would have had a Deeproot Waters. So in the face of a board sweeper, Deeproot Waters is better, and in a world where you're trying to be more aggressive, Jungleborn Pioneer is better. If he gets to Cry the Carnarium, we're in so much trouble. He got a Thought Erasure off of Narset, so he plays
Hence why we
Narset.
have.
Yeah. So
Hence why we have the this. Hence why I run the 50-50 plan, so that way I can just have the best of both.
right, and I think you get to make some choices in games 2 and 3 with the Jungleborn Pioneers and the Deeproot Waters. But he couldn't find it. He could not find it. Gary Miller's still salty about it. But multiple times here I've been able to, like, in one match, show where Jungleborn's better if you're trying to be aggressive than Deeproot Waters. Like, the card is better. It's better to actually put something on a meaningful onto the board than it is to play setup cards. The reason cards like Deeproot Waters feels powerful is because it is a setup card. You're going to have to take a turn off, or at least spend 3 mana for nothing the turn that you play it. And for that, it needs to have a higher power level, and that's why cards like that, cards like Sarkhan's Unsealing, that's why they do have such a high power level, is because they have this non-printed downside to them, right? Like, it'd be easy to say it had a downside if it just said discard 3 cards or discard a card or something like that. But the underlying downside to those particular cards is the aspect of it doesn't actually do anything to the board state the turn that it comes out. So again, actually affecting the board state seems to be a better way to go. So if you guys are going to play with your Aquaman stuff, like, that's going to be I've been hitting it ever since Merfolk was played, like first started being played, that Jungleborn Pioneer in most aggressive strategies is just more powerful than Deeproot Waters. Unless you're trying to go into turns 5, 6, and 7, which we don't want to do, right? Like, we want to kill them long before that. All right, so back over to the deck building now that we've we've crushed this little blue black deck. Crushed them. Never didn't have it. Oh my goodness. It ain't gonna let me open this deck. Still with me, Rocker?
Yeah, I'm back. I just had to go do some stuff.
Oh, you're good, man. So I'm actually going to cut Song of Release. What was I thinking? We do not have the one drops for Song of
This is what
Release.
happens when you let chat grab the reins for too long.
I love it when you guys come in and interact and things like that. That's fun streaming for me. So no disappointment here. All right. So if we cut a Song of Release,
I mean, this is
and
the
I'm
same
not
group
adding.
that like goaded you into playing Sarkhan's Unsealing like almost nonstop for a while. So
Ah, I think y'all just like hearing me gripe about that card. Seriously,
No,
I really do think y'all
the
just wanted to hear me gripe about it.
I think one of the funniest like salt breakdown moments was whenever you were trying to play Gruul Experimental Frenzy. Like you got so tilted by playing that deck. It was great because it was so late at night.
Well, I mean, you have a full day, and then you end your day on a horrible gameplay, and it usually just sucks. Like I'm not,
Yeah,
it's just
Gruul
horrible.
Unsealing was so bad. Like no, it was a Gruul Experimental Frenzy was such a bad deck, and I'm just like, who wins with this?
What what is going on? Now I've got all these. Now I've got something stuck.
Oh no! Wait,
Right?
hold up.
What have you done, Arena? Watch them have like Memorial there. Are we just a new deck now? What just happened?
No, we're the same deck. Because we took out Song. That's what happened.
Oh my goodness! I pull it back up, and Memorial to Genius is still floating there.
What?
I
That's
don't.
weird.
I don't know
I
what's
mean, it's
going
happened to
on.
me a little bit.
I don't know what's going on. Either way, this stream has went on for over 2 hours tonight. Um, I like Benthic Biomancer, but I also think that these decks need some sort of creature that has evasion. So, um, I would
Yeah,
like
that's
we
fair. But
ran into it just a moment ago in
Unsummon
game
was
two.
just something that
Well, we didn't.
Unsummon's like
I
a
didn't
nice
expect him
thing
to
that
have
it
that
needed.
many creatures, though. I didn't expect him to have that many creatures. So I sideboarded wrong by taking the unsummons out for game two.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Also, gotta love the fact that all my notes that were on my old phone got deleted as soon as I had to switch phones.
Yeah.
So making new notes, like matchup notes and everything, is loads of fun.
That memorial is still over there, guys.
I
What-
think turn
whatever.
it on and off. See what.
Now it's Vivian.
Have you tried turning it on and off, sir?
Right? Did you unplug it and plug it back in? Um,
Grab it by the server route and just unplug that.
right. Do a front to back to front reset. Anyway, we've all
Gotta blow into the cartridge just to make it work.
Ooh, how old are you?
That'd be 26, good
you don't
sir.
have to answer that, Rocker. I was just when you start talking about blowing into cartridges, you start dating yourself a little bit there.
Good old N64 days.
Oh, I was
man.
thinking my 8-bit Atari, or like blowing on Dig Dug and Cubert. But yeah, Nintendo, like regular Nintendo, you put the cartridge
Even
in, you
90s
got to
kids-
push it
yeah,
down,
even
up and
90s
down
kids
like
feel
5 or
that
6
pain.
times. Oh man, yeah. So yeah,
The worst is whenever you have to do it with like Game Boys.
Oh yeah. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it. our stream's already to the YouTube limit, so the first couple minutes of our stream on the replay is going to be cut off. But I want to say thank you for everyone that came out. I actually think that we built a pretty decent, or at least a good starting point for Merfolk. I don't know about Hadana's Climb. I'd want to test Hadana's Climb a little bit more. But
I mean, I don't have it in my list, so
I think that if I took Hadana's Climb out and the Song of Freylease, and what I would put in those two spots would just be two more Benefic Biomasters. This way I could run three Benefic, three Mistcloak Carols, and four Kamina Speakers, and just up,
I
up
have
the aggressive count.
Benthic is like a full play set in my deck.
Fair. I just don't want to cut away from. I don't want to go that many one drops, but I don't want to cut away from non-blockables like Mistcloak Herald either. And the same argument we had earlier about River Sneak, we're a little clogged on the 2-drop slot already. So with what we had earlier, I would take the Hadana's Climb and the Song of Freylease out and put in two more Benefic Biomancers, and then probably just run it from there. Silvergill Adept starts becoming one of the weaker cards, which makes me want to start to agree with my wife that maybe we don't actually run Silvergill Adept. So, yeah.
But hey, I mean, whenever the deck barely has any draw engines to begin with, like, you gotta take it however you can, especially whenever it gives you an extra body that can block. So I mean,
I'm gonna read Madness's joke here because he made me laugh. We was talking about dating yourself a little bit. Madness says, "I always date myself because no one else will." But whatever.
don't tell that joke to a geology major or like a paleontology major, because they'll go to town on that joke.
Right, they've got all kinds of date yourself jokes. Actually, no, sorry, we won't go there. Anyway,
yeah.
Don't talk bad about Silvergill. You know what, Gary? I won't talk bad about Silvergill. I won't talk anymore about Silvergill Adept.
I just wish they could make a Kiora that could work with Merfolk, and then I would have been like in heaven.
Yeah. Either way, hey Rocker, thank you for coming to coffee time with us, and like I've enjoyed having you here. For everyone that was in chat, thank you for coming out, for helping me build what I believe is a pretty sweet little Merfolk deck here. Thank you all for that.
No problem. It's actually nice to have like this little one-on-one time, I guess, because usually I do my videos and then you do your videos, and it's not like there's two of us are in the same thing. So
right. I actually was unaware that you had a channel going there, Rocker.
Yeah, I'm kind of like with the whole moving and everything, and then the bad Wi-Fi. It's kind of just weird at the moment. But I've been doing some recording, like, just because I think I haven't had any decks really to record, so I just been doing like a playthroughs and whatever.
Content's content,
yeah.
man. Everything's content. So.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And that's actually something I need to do
for
more.
Me,
I need to just make more content. I ran a poll the other day, and I just need to make more. So, anyway.
Yeah, like for me, it's mainly just like the way I view my channel is it's my channel, so whatever I feel like doing, just put it on there. So,
understood.
And if people like it, they like it. If not, they don't. So,
I think I lost control of this channel. I have some people who get really mad if I just put what I want to put on. So, but for those people, I'm sorry. Really do feel bad that you don't like it. I'm sure there's something else you can watch. And then there'll be people that get mad over that statement I just made, but whatever.
I mean, people get mad over everything, so.
Right, yeah. You can't please everybody, and I am no longer going to try to make everyone happy. I don't
only please the people that count.
I don't like every deck, so some of you are going to build decks, and I'm going to be like, I hate this. I absolutely hate it. Don't take it personal. It just doesn't match my play style, or just something about the deck I just don't like. you're not going to like every deck I make. I don't like every deck that Dev made,
Yeah, exactly.
but Dev makes some decks that I'm like, I love this deck. This is just so great, right?
Oh Lord.
So
Yeah,
you
like the
just
mono
take.
black burn, I was like, I'm just gonna play this, and we're just gonna run with it. And that deck has been so fun to play, and I'm gonna hate to see it go.
Oh, is that the one where you just play? Oh, mono black burn. Just it's just aggressive mono black burn, right?
You just, all right, drain and gain till the cows come home.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I actually love that deck. Every time that we've played a variant of it, I've always had a lot of fun. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for tonight. Madness, thank you for your support there. Madness is like, well, you don't need those people, and I don't think anybody does. But also no one is forcing anyone to watch content, right? If you like some of the content I make, then by all means watch the parts you like. If you don't like some content, then I'm sorry you don't like it, but I'm gonna post it for those that do want
Yeah,
to see it.
like I hung in for the Albion stream.
Oh
I
my
think he had
goodness,
the other night.
those are gonna get
Granted,
better.
yeah, I fell asleep. I fell asleep like halfway through it though, because it was like I'm comfy. I'm gonna fall asleep now, and then I
Oh,
woke
it,
up and you were
it
still
got
going. I'm like, oh,
it got brutal. We were in the same
oh, did
dungeon, dude.
it?
We were still in the same dungeon. So, real quick on
Oh
the
man.
Albion content for those that are interested at all. For those not interested, I had fun. Hope you had fun. See you next time. For those that are interested, um, the Albion content. A couple people here from the channel have joined me over there on Albion, and we're having some fun. Tier one Jank he's dove headfirst in it. He seems to be really enjoying the game. We've got Dumby Nation who's enjoying the game, and it, Albion's one of those games where like when you first get started, you could technically go step into a tier 8 dungeon and you can like as a very new character you could walk your way out to the highest level dungeon and step into the front door and get absolutely murdered, right? um
Right, and it's just like
yeah.
I'm halfway tempted to just join in
Oh,
too.
you should,
Like I
you
just
should.
gotta get yeah, um,
It plays
because
on it plays
might
on
as
a cell
well.
phone, like it really does. And if you like MMOs at all, it's a ton of fun. But anyway, we
I
were
might actually, yeah, I'm halfway tempted to like just download it one of these days and just sit through the giant download time out in the boonies. So
understood. Well, I've been there where you've got to spend a day trying to download a gig. So and then that eats up half of your half of your data or whatever. I've been there. I have definitely been there. But what I was going to say is like we were trying to do this gameplay where we were like, all right, we're going to go out and do a fame farm. We're going to do a dungeon as a group. Well, it took us like 30 minutes to get a group together because we didn't have enough people to get a 5 man together. So we start pugging, real like MMO problems, right? So we start trying to pug. We get a pug, and they're just as weak as we are. So we've got no carry, and we're stepping into a dungeon that is actually a level higher than most of our gear. So we're fighting above our weight class, and we spent the
you're
entire
the cruiserweight going into the heavyweight division.
yeah. We were spending the entire dungeon like killing one mob, trying to run back, let the mobs reset, come back, go kill another mob out of that pack, run back, let him reset, letting like the tank was dying, and Dumby Nation was trying to tank, and at one point he had a crossbow. He was tanking with a crossbow.
Yeah, I
Oh my
remember
god.
hearing Dummy scream like "Help! Help! They're killing me!"
Yeah. So we had that. We had all of that going on, and it just became a nightmare. Like everything you could possibly imagine just kept going wrong. I couldn't keep Dumby alive. Dumby couldn't avoid damage.
You just kind of look at Dummy and go, "Sorry, I gotta heal myself first, bud.
Right.
Because
Well,
if you
he's
lose the healer, you lose.
yeah.
Period."
Well, he's the tank. So if he goes down, like everything goes everywhere, and we have to run out. But no one, like Jank just said, nobody was on the same page. Dumby was a World of Warcraft player, so he's used to the tank goes up, stands in front of the mob, like I have shield, they're gonna heal me. I'm just gonna like you'll never get through my life total, right? Well, this game does
This is one of
not.
those ones where it's
No,
like you have to walk around everything.
constantly. Like you hit thread on them, and then you make them spend the next 2 minutes trying to kite you, or trying to catch you. If they can't hit you, they can't catch you, and you don't lose threat. Like so, the game's different. And I'm just trying to explain this to Dumby, and I end up like yelling at him halfway through the dungeon. It's like, oh my God, will you just quit getting hit? Stop standing and stuff. And it just
Yeah.
it went
I,
it
I
went
I'm,
horribly
I'm sitting there
bad.
like I was watching it and I'm just screaming, "Serpentine, damn me, serpentine!"
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Jenks like he likes lava. He does like to stand in the fire, so it happens. But anyway, if you guys do want to join us over on Albion, um, I've got a plan for some Albion content. Like I'm gonna grab all of the all of the beginner weapons of a particular type. I'm gonna head out into dungeons and I'm going to use like all of the frost weapons, all of the bows, that sort of thing. And we're going to try them all at beginner levels and see what we like and how we can build different builds by changing our armor pieces out and stuff like that. And we're just going to go out and go into a solo dungeon so we don't have that like 25-minute wait to get into a dungeon. So kind of like we do deck techs and build decks here in Magic. I'm gonna grab all the weapons and we're gonna go out into a dungeon and we're gonna test these builds in dungeons and stuff like that. And I think that'll be a little bit better content. At least it'll be more active, and we'll be able to actually see some stuff. And the punts will be on me, not necessarily having to rely on anyone else. Like if I stand in fire, then I can't blame that on nobody but me, right? Um, I blame it on the
Stop
lag,
telling me to stand in fire.
right? I lagged.
If anyone's gonna blame anything on lag, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be me.
Yeah. Anyway, that is going to do it for the show tonight, though. I hope everyone had fun, and I think we built a pretty good Merfolk deck. And thanks
Yeah.
for again
Yeah.
everybody that came out.
And if you don't want to see that, then at some point I'm just gonna. By the way, just in order to let you know, the thing I have been working on is Cuphead. So if you want to watch me profusely swear at getting bad at a game, then yeah, just go check that out whenever I get it posted.
So some Cuphead. You like Cuphead? I've actually never played Cuphead, so yeah. Anyway, yeah.
It's
if you
like
want,
it's a good retro shooter vibe kind of thing. So like side-scrolling shooter, like good.
I gotcha. Well, if you guys like that, go check out Rocker CCR. Check out his channel. That's going to do it for tonight. I had a lot of fun. I hope you had fun. We'll see you next time here on Sideboard MTG. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on your way out.
I did that right whenever it started. So all right, peace, y'all.